Russia, a country that once stood as one of the world's superpowers, is now grappling with a series of setbacks. The nation that once boasted a formidable presence on the global stage is currently wrestling with significant challenges. From the failed attempt to seize Ukraine to the growing domestic criticism faced by President Vladimir Putin, Russia's power appears to be on a downward trajectory. The situation in Ukraine offers a stark example of these challenges. A swift and decisive victory was expected, but the reality has been a series of setbacks and failures. The Ukrainian counteroffensive, bolstered by American weaponry, has reclaimed key territories, pushing back the Russian forces. This has not only undermined Russia's military might, but also raised questions about Putin's strategic acumen. The domestic front tells a similar story. Putin's autocratic rule is facing growing criticism from within. The Russian people, weary of war and the hardships it brings, are voicing their discontent. This internal strife, compounded by the potential isolation from international allies, is further weakening Russia's standing. Historically, Russia has weathered similar storms. The Soviet intervention in Afghanistan and the subsequent collapse of the Soviet Union offer powerful parallels to the current situation. These events, like the present challenges, were marked by failed foreign interventions, domestic discontent, and a weakening of power. Yet, the current state of affairs seems to be pushing Russia to the brink. Putin's desperate measures, including the mobilization of additional troops and nuclear saber-rattling, reflect a desire to avoid the fate of past Russian leaders. The myth of Putin's strategic genius has unraveled, leading to mass desertions and a potential weakening of Russia's power. Russia's current predicament could potentially lead to its third dissolution, a stark contrast to its once formidable status. Vladimir Putin, Russia's long-standing leader, wields an autocratic control that shapes the country's destiny. For years, Putin's leadership style has been marked by a firm grip on power, exhibiting a level of autocracy that has shaped the course of Russia's history. Central to Putin's governance is a drive to avoid the fate of past Russian leaders, those who have seen their reigns crumble in the face of overwhelming opposition or military defeat. This drive, however, has seen Putin resort to desperate measures such as mobilizing additional troops and engaging in nuclear saber-rattling. Yet, as Russia struggles with the war in Ukraine, a war that was expected to be a swift victory, the myth of Putin's strategic genius is unraveling. His plan to quickly seize Ukraine has faced significant setbacks, including the failure to capture Kiev and a surging Ukrainian counteroffensive reclaiming key territories. These setbacks not only question Putin's military strategy, but also the very essence of his leadership. Domestically, Putin is encountering growing criticism, with parallels drawn to previous failed foreign interventions by the Soviets in Afghanistan and the impact of the collapse of the Soviet Union. As citizens flee mobilization and allies express concern, the image of Putin's Russia as an impervious fortress begins to shatter. What we are witnessing is the potential weakening of Russia's power. Mass desertions from the military, a potential third dissolution of the Russian Empire, and a likely failure of Putin's ambitions in Ukraine all point to a Russia that is far from the image of strength and invincibility that Putin has long projected. The truth is that Putin's autocratic control and the risks of allowing one individual's delusions to shape events are leading to a grim reality. As Lawrence Friedman highlights, the consequences of such autocratic rule can be dire, and the situation may very well lead to a significant weakening of Russia. The risks of allowing one individual's delusions to shape a nation's fate are becoming glaringly apparent in Russia. The unfolding events are a stark reminder of the perils of autocracy, where the whims of one man can set the course for an entire nation, often to its detriment. As Russia struggles on the global stage, its citizens are bearing the brunt of the fallout. The ongoing conflict and the country's isolation have had a profound impact on the lives of ordinary Russians. The burden of a war, not of their choosing, weighs heavily on their shoulders, and the repercussions are far-reaching. Mass desertions from the army are a glaring testament to the disillusionment and discontent among the ranks. Young soldiers, barely out of their teens, are choosing to risk punishment rather than participate in a conflict they neither understand nor support. The image of an invincible Russian army is crumbling, revealing a force demoralized and in disarray. But the impact goes beyond the military. A significant exodus of people is taking place as citizens flee mobilization. Families are being torn apart, leaving behind everything they know in the hope of finding safety and a better future elsewhere. The country is hemorrhaging its most valuable resource, its people. In the midst of this turmoil, a wave of domestic criticism towards the Russian leadership is surging. Putin, once hailed as a strategic genius, is now facing a backlash from his own people. The myth of his infallibility has unraveled, and the citizens are growing increasingly vocal in their dissatisfaction. The economic shockwaves are also reverberating throughout the country. Soaring commodity prices and the threat of inflation are causing a great deal of uncertainty. The average Russian is grappling with the reality of a faltering economy, making everyday life even more challenging. The Russian people, caught in the crossfire, are forced to confront the harsh realities of their country's plight. Their resilience and strength will be tested in the days to come. But one thing is clear: the impact of these events on the citizens of Russia will shape the country's future for generations to come. The world watches with bated breath as Russia's situation unfolds, with international reactions varying from concern to condemnation. As Russia's actions in Ukraine continue, the global community has responded with a remarkable show of solidarity for Ukraine. Countries across the globe, from the United States to European nations, have rallied together, providing Ukraine with military and humanitarian aid. The collective response has been swift and decisive, demonstrating a unified stance against Russia's aggressive actions. The support for Ukraine has been substantial. The United States, for instance, has been instrumental in supplying weapons, including anti-tank missiles, aiding Ukraine in pushing back Russian forces. Similarly, European nations have been providing financial aid and other forms of support, assisting Ukraine in its time of need. However, this global response has had far-reaching consequences for Russia. Sanctions have been imposed, impacting Russia's economy significantly. These sanctions have not only caused a commodities shock, but they also risk further inflation. This could potentially exacerbate an already challenging economic situation for Russia, with the country already grappling with a weakened currency and rising prices. Moreover, the international community's response has led to Russia becoming increasingly isolated. Allies have expressed concern over Russia's actions, and some have even distanced themselves from the country. This isolation has only served to compound Russia's challenges, both economically and politically. As the world responds to Russia's actions, the country finds itself increasingly isolated. The global community's response has made it clear that Russia's actions will not go unchecked, and the consequences of these actions continue to unfold. Despite the challenges that lie ahead, the world remains hopeful for a peaceful resolution to this crisis. The future of Russia, once considered a certainty, is now shrouded in uncertainty. The unfolding events in Russia have stirred a whirlpool of possibilities, and among them, the notion of its third dissolution emerges. A scenario that was scarcely imagined a few years ago now seems plausible. President Putin's ambitions in Ukraine, reminiscent of historical narratives of failed foreign interventions, are facing substantial setbacks. The world watches as the myth of Putin's strategic genius unravels, with Russia's power potentially weakening. The current situation draws parallels to the collapse of the Soviet Union, a period marked by economic instability and political turmoil. Could we be witnessing the precursors to another dissolution? The potential long-term impacts of such a dissolution would reverberate beyond Russia's borders. If Russia were to weaken, the global balance of power could shift, and the ripple effects would be felt worldwide. Economies interconnected with Russia would have to adapt, and the geopolitical landscape would undergo a transformation. However, within the uncertainty lies an array of possibilities for Russia's future. While the prospect of dissolution is alarming, it could also usher in opportunities for change and reform. The future might hold the promise of a more democratic Russia, one that respects international norms and values human rights. But it's not just the political future of Russia that's at stake. The economic implications are significant too. With soaring commodity prices causing global economic shockwaves, Russia's role as a key commodities exporter adds another layer of complexity to the situation. A weakened Russia could disrupt global commodity markets, potentially leading to further inflation and economic instability. As Russia teeters on the brink, the world can only speculate on what the future holds for this once mighty nation. The coming years will reveal whether Russia can weather this storm of uncertainty or whether it will succumb to the pressures and change the course of its history.
Have you ever wondered why Russia, the largest country on Earth, has such diverse and extreme weather conditions? Picture a land with an incredible range of climates, from the icy chill of Siberia to the mild breezes of its western regions, and even the subtropical warmth of the south. This is the intrigue of Russian weather. Stretching across 11 time zones, Russia is a colossal tapestry woven with diverse weather patterns. Its sheer size and geographical diversity play a significant role in this. Let's start with Siberia, a name synonymous with bone-chilling cold. Siberia, making up nearly 77% of Russia's total land area, is home to some of the coldest inhabited places on Earth. Here temperatures can plummet to a staggering -68 degrees Celsius. That's colder than the dark side of the moon at night. Moving west, the weather starts to mellow. Here, the influence of the Atlantic Ocean brings milder winters and warmer summers. Cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg experience a humid continental climate. The winters are cold, yes, but they are a far cry from the deep freeze of Siberia. Summers, on the other hand, can be quite warm, even hot, with temperatures sometimes soaring into the 30s. But the surprises don't stop there. Travel even further south and you'll find yourself in a subtropical climate. Yes, you heard it right, subtropical. The Sochi region, nestled on the Black Sea coast, is bathed in warm sunshine for much of the year. Here, palm trees sway in the gentle sea breezes, and temperatures rarely dip below freezing, even in winter. From the frostbitten expanses of Siberia to the sun-kissed beaches of Sochi, Russia is a land of weather extremes. Each region, with its unique climate, paints a different stroke on this vast canvas. Isn't it fascinating how one country can encompass such a wide range of weather conditions? But how does this affect its nature? Imagine plants that withstand temperatures of -50 degrees Celsius. Welcome to Russia's unique flora. In this vast country stretching across 11 time zones and encompassing a range of climates, weather plays a significant role in shaping the flora. From the frosty Siberian plains to the sunny Black Sea coast, each region boasts its own unique plant life, honed by the forces of nature. Let's journey into the heart of Russia, the taiga. This is the world's largest land biome, and it's dominated by coniferous forests. Pines, spruces, and larches here have evolved to withstand the harsh winters, with needle-like leaves that minimize water loss and thick bark that insulates against the cold. But these aren't just survival tactics. The evergreen nature of these trees plays a crucial role in the ecosystem, providing a year-round food source for wildlife and contributing to the planet's oxygen supply. Moving further north, we reach the tundra. Here, the ground is perpetually frozen, or what scientists call permafrost. This extreme condition has given rise to hardy shrubs and grasses, mosses and lichens. These plants are typically low-growing, a strategy to avoid the chilling winds. Their ability to photosynthesize at low temperatures and in low-light conditions is nothing short of remarkable. But it's not all about the cold. In the southern regions, near the Black Sea, you'll find a completely different landscape. Here, subtropical weather nurtures a lush array of plants. Palm trees sway in the seaside breezes, and vineyards stretch across the hillsides, basking in the warmth of the sun. This is the weather that has given birth to Russia's famed tea plantations and citrus groves. From frost-resistant trees to sun-loving subtropical plants, Russian flora truly reflects its weather diversity. But what about its fauna? What would you do if you had to survive in temperatures that could freeze your blood? Russian animals have found some pretty impressive solutions. Let's start our exploration with the majestic Siberian tiger, the largest cat in the world. These big cats have evolved to thrive amidst the biting cold of the Siberian wilderness. Their secret? A thick, dense coat of fur and a layer of fat as much as an inch thick. This insulating duo keeps the tigers warm even when temperatures plunge to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, the Russian desman, a small aquatic mammal, has a different approach. This critter uses its long, flexible snout to hunt for food beneath the ice. A dense fur coat that's water-resistant helps keep it warm and dry even in icy waters. Now let's head to the Russian forests. Here we find the brown bear, the national symbol of Russia. These giants take a different approach to the cold. They simply sleep through it. They hibernate, slowing their metabolism drastically to conserve energy. It's like hitting the snooze button on the harsh Russian winter. In the same forests, you'll find the Siberian chipmunks. These little creatures prepare for winter by stockpiling food in their burrows. They're able to remember the exact location of hundreds of food caches, ensuring they won't go hungry when food is scarce. In the tundra, the reindeer have a unique adaptation. Their noses warm up the frigid air before it reaches their lungs, and their wide hooves function well in both snowy and swampy conditions. Survival in the Russian wilderness is no small feat. It requires resilience, ingenious adaptations, and sometimes a little bit of hibernation. These creatures are a testament to the wonders of evolution, each one uniquely equipped to face the harsh realities of their environment. These resilient animals, much like the plants, have adapted to the harsh Russian weather. But how does Russia's nature affect its people? Russia's nature doesn't just shape its flora and fauna, it also plays a significant role in the lifestyle of its people. The vast and diverse landscapes of Russia, coupled with its unique weather patterns, have a powerful influence on the daily routines, diet, and cultural practices of the Russian people. Let's start with the diet. In the northern regions, where winters are long and harsh, people rely heavily on preserved foods. Pickling and fermenting are common culinary traditions, with staples like sauerkraut, pickled cucumbers, and salted fish frequently gracing the dinner table. These foods are not only delicious, but also packed with necessary vitamins to help combat the cold. Meanwhile, in the warmer, more fertile south, an abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables shape the local cuisine. Here you'll find dishes bursting with tomatoes, bell peppers, and aubergines, a stark contrast to the hearty preserved fare of the north. But it's not just food. The Russian climate also shapes the country's recreational activities. In the frigid winters, sports like ice hockey, skiing, and ice fishing become popular pastimes. When summer rolls around, people flock to the country's many lakes and rivers for swimming, boating, and fishing. Nature also plays a starring role in traditional Russian celebrations. The summer solstice, for instance, is celebrated with the festival of Ivan Kupala. This event sees people jumping over bonfires, a symbolic act of purification and fertility, and floating flower garlands on rivers, a beautiful spectacle that pays homage to the country's water bodies. And when winter comes, the new year is welcomed with grand fireworks displays over the snow-covered landscapes. This tradition, a testament to the Russian people's resilience and love for their harsh winters, lights up the dark, frosty skies with a spectacle of color and joy. As we've seen, Russian weather and nature have a profound influence on the country's flora, fauna, and people. But what does this mean for Russia's future? As our planet faces climate change, what does the future hold for Russia's unique weather and nature? In the face of a warming planet, Russia's vast landscape is poised for significant transformations. The country's diverse geographical spread, from the frozen expanses of Siberia to the temperate forests of the West, makes it a unique case study in the effects of climate change. In the Arctic tundra, rising temperatures could potentially thaw the permafrost, unlocking ancient carbon reserves and accelerating global warming. This phenomenon might also disrupt the habitat of the polar bears, walruses, and myriad bird species that call this region home. But it's not all doom and gloom. Warmer temperatures might also open up new agricultural opportunities. The traditionally frigid Siberian plains could become fertile ground for crops, potentially bolstering Russia's food security. However, this transformation is not without its challenges. The introduction of agriculture to these areas could disrupt the existing ecosystems and endanger local wildlife. The vast boreal forests, or taiga, that stretch across northern Russia are also at risk. These forests act as a significant carbon sink, absorbing greenhouse gases and helping to mitigate climate change. However, increasing temperatures and changing precipitation patterns could lead to more frequent and severe wildfires, threatening this crucial ecosystem. And let's not forget the impact on Russia's people. Changes in weather patterns could lead to more extreme weather events, from harsher winters in some regions to hotter, drier summers in others. This could affect everything from agriculture to infrastructure and even human health. So what does the future hold? It's a complex picture with potential benefits and drawbacks. But one thing is certain, the resilience and adaptability of Russia's nature and its people will be put to the test in the face of these changes. Climate change is a global challenge, and Russia, with its diverse landscapes and ecosystems, will play a significant role in how we navigate this new reality. It's a vast, untamed wilderness that continues to shape and be shaped by the forces of nature. The future of Russian nature and weather is uncertain, but one thing is clear: its diversity and resilience will continue to captivate us all.